We've been busy. We're here today to brief you on a very intricate, very detailed investigation that we have been working with the Attorney General's office, statewide prosecutor. And what's important to remember about this investigation is even though we're presenting this piece of it to you today, I can't help but believe that this is the tip of the iceberg, and we still don't know what we don't know. For example, we know that 2 of our 4 suspects live in a gated community, in a high-end house. We know that the other 2 suspects, while not living in a gated community, live in a very upscale community, and yet they have no visible means of economic support other than their criminal conduct. And here's what occurred. We are working with Walmart Global Investigations. As you may remember, we started an organized retail crime unit at the sheriff's office because we recognize that even though people like to think of, oh, it's minor shoplifting, that there are groups of people out here that are literally making thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars and some into the millions of dollars a year doing organized retail crime. And that's what we have. The Walmart Global Investigation team that they have came to us because of our organized retail crime unit and said, we've got a huge operation. Part of it's based in Polk County, but it spreads over at least 22 counties in the state of Florida, and we find evidence it's also in other states as well. And it's a systematic scheme to defraud Walmart and Sam's. We know that this group of folks here, and I'll introduce you to them individually in just a second, have stolen at least 169 telephones from 87 different locations around the state of Florida. We know that there are 8 thefts from Walmarts and Sam's in Lakeland, Winter Haven, and Haines City alone. We know that they have stolen $64,000 worth of product. They attempted to steal another $59,000 worth of cell phones. However, either Walmart blocked them after we got into this investigation, or they weren't successful in their scheme in order to steal the phones. So here's what has occurred. We've had at least 63 victims of identity theft from 13 different states across this country. We know that they've gotten their names, their addresses, their social security numbers, and this group here created fake identification, driver's license. So they took the identification from these 63 different individuals from across 13 states, created false identification, I might add, very high quality false identification, and then they went into the various Walmarts and Sam's and they would sign up for telephones and telephone plans using our victims. They would sign up. Depending on the credit check, they would pay maybe just taxes, or they may charge them money for the phone and then taxes. But they would walk out spending $30, $100, not very much at all, and can walk out with as much as a $1,000 telephone. Then when they leave the store, they come back and they cancel the service. Once they cancel the service, then they take the phone and they sell it on the street and make their money. Now here's what we want everyone to know. There are a lot of people that have bought stolen phones as a result of defrauding Sam's and Walmart by making street purchases. If you bought one of these phones from one of these folks or their associates, call us. You can even call us on the stolen phone. We've got a deal for you. We want you as a witness as opposed to a suspect. Now, if you'll call us or call Crime Stoppers and give us the information, we still need to contact you, but the deal is, and the state prosecutors have said, look, we want you for a witness, we want the phone back, no charges, and you have me on tape here today telling you that. But if you don't call us, and we have to track you down one at a time, then you're going to be subject to dealing in stolen property charges, which is a second-degree felony. Did you hear me? We're not going to have a good sense of humor if you make us do all this work to track you down, to find the phones, and you'll be facing second-degree felony charges of dealing in stolen property. But you have my word. If you'll just call us so we can talk to you and recover the phone, then we'll use the phone and you as a witness, and you won't face any criminal charges. Not a tough choice. Witness, second-degree felony charges. Witness, second-degree felony charges. You decide, and you know my detectives are the best, and we will come after you and track you down. It's your choice. So, we don't know yet how they obtained all of our victims' identification. That is still under investigation. We've made 2 arrests. Let me introduce you to Carlos Milan and Eduardo Florent. They live in a gated community. Eduardo is known as a lookout and a driver. By the way, Edward and Marvin, who I'm going to introduce you to in just a second, are brothers. That's how they're related. But think about this. You know, and I know, that even by stealing these phones and reselling them and dividing that by 4 and dividing that by home payments in upscale neighborhoods, they got to be doing more than this. And that's what we want to know. We want to know what we don't know, because this scheme to defraud is elaborate and it's been successful. Who is at large? Marvin, who is really kind of the mastermind of the operation. He was previously arrested in Okaloosa County by the Sheriff's Office on March the 28th for this same thing. And he was cut free on a $30,000 bond. Did he quit this scheme to defraud after being arrested in March? No, he's still out stealing, and we need him in custody. Carla Hernandez is his girlfriend, and she was also arrested in Okaloosa. Did she quit stealing after Okaloosa Sheriff's Office arrested her for this? No, she's still out stealing. Now, folks, these people haven't gotten the message, but we intend to give them the business so they'll get the message. They're on their way to jail, and we believe this is just the beginning of the investigation, and that's why it's so very important to us that we get the word out. There may very well be other victims or other victim stores that just has not picked up on this particular operation at this time. Any questions?
When they sold the phones on the street, were they selling them to drug dealers and criminals, or were they just selling them at a cheap price so people bought them?
Do you know, if we had that information, we'd be further down the road than we are right now. We know where the phones left from. We know they did it under false pretenses. We know they used victims. We know that once they got away from the stores, at some point in time, they canceled the service, and then they sold the phones on the streets. And that's what we've got to trace down. Now, the people who want to take advantage of being a witness and turn the phone in and go, I don't want any trouble, I was just looking for a good deal, we got a good deal for you. If you keep your phone and we track you down, then you're facing serious, serious criminal charges.
And I know you don't know how these people had their identities stolen, but what can other people do to try to protect their?
Once again, a home shredder is a wonderful thing. You need to have a locking mailbox. You need to make sure that when you go to your dentist or your doctor or any other place where you have to give personal information, that you check to see how they manage that information. Because most of the time, this is stolen out of databases at some other kinds of businesses, or it's stolen out of your mailbox, or it's stolen because you provide information over the internet or put this information out on the internet. So in today's modern technology, there's 1,000 different ways they can get it, but you have to pay attention. And for the 63 victims, it's going to be a train wreck for them to get all their processes restored after they've been taken advantage of.
Sheriff, if people out there who have bought these phones don't accept your deal, how would you characterize the quality of your case that you can make against these 4 people?
Well, our case is great because they're not being charged on the back end for selling them. They're being charged on the front end for stealing them. These are rock solid cases. Now, we'll be able to add charges to them and for selling and dealing in stolen property, but we plan to use the people who bought as witnesses. Unless, of course, they don't cooperate and we have to go through all the labor to track them down, then they're looking at felony charges as well. Rock solid cases here. Physical evidence, video evidence. Walmart, Sam's have wonderful, wonderful systems.
Are you close at all to determining who these people are who have the cell phones who bought them? Or are you assuming these are just people on the street who are 1 and 2 and 3 people down the line?
We don't know what we don't know about that. We don't know if they're gathering them up and wholesaling them in bunches and then they're spreading them out on the street, or if they're selling them one at a time. That's why we want the folks to help us. And that's why we're telling them, in all honesty, we're not interested in you, we're interested in them. Just help a brother out here and you can get a deal.
With technology nowadays, isn't it possible to track those stolen phones down to who has them?
When they cancel the service on them, and then whoever's bought it restarts the services, it will be possible. It will be more difficult. And as you know, we don't tell our suspects and our potential suspects all we know. So we're just giving everybody an opportunity to help us and make it easy on us, which means it'll be easy on you because you'll be a witness. We'll get this thing taken care of.
Does that include criminals that conspired with them who bought bulk cell phones and then sold them?
These are the targets of the investigation right now. We want to know who bought the cell phones, whether they bought 5 of them or 1 of them.
Sheriff, given the interstate nature of this, I understand that the State Attorney General's office is already involved. Are federal authorities involved at all? FBI, anything like that?
Not at this point in the investigation, but that doesn't mean that we won't loop them in later. Once again, we haven't even worked with the different Walmarts and Sam's outside of the state of Florida. We know that some of them have moved outside of the state. The preponderance of them at this point in the investigation are out of Florida. You know, I've seen these cases over and over and over again. I suggest to you that this is probably the tip of the iceberg. They got something much more grand going. You know, these folks aren't stupid. They're criminals, but they're not stupid.
Do you think these people are the only ones involved? Do you think there's more people?
There's a good possibility that there may be more, but this is the ones we know about at this point in the investigation.
Do these folks live here in Polk County, or do they just kind
They
of?
live in Osceola County. I believe all 4 of them live in Osceola County. The investigation started here, because there are victims here, and we have the organized retail crime unit. So Walmart came to us, their specialty investigators, and said, hey, will you take this case on? We looked at it, we saw the expanse of it. We went to the statewide prosecutor and our Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and that team are awesome. And they jumped in to help us, and that's why we're all working together.
Sheriff, you just touched on this a little bit, but I mean, this is an elaborate scheme. They're not fools, you know, they're pretty smart people.
It's my understanding that, I believe it was Marvin. I think Marvin actually used to manage a retail outlet at one time. One of them did. So he knows the ins and outs of how the systems work. Marvin is I'm almost sure, Marvin is a smart man in one sense, but in another sense, he's a criminal. You can have smart criminals. Not often, but you can.
Are you having trouble tracking them down?
I suspect, they weren't at their home yesterday when we were looking for them. I suspect they out meandering around the southeast United States stealing cell phones. They're busy, you know. They're doing business, but they'll turn up. Bad pennies always do.
The two that you arrested, what kinds of evidence did you find inside their home?
I don't know that we found any evidence inside their home. We just executed search warrants for or arrest warrants for them.
Sheriff, how many of the theft ID victims are from the whole county?
I think there's only one from Polk County. There's eight different charges, I think, in this county, but one victim that actually lives here. But there's 3 different stores that have been victimized.
What did this look
Three
like?
different locations, actually Sam's and Walmart's. Yes, sir?
Can you describe a little bit, I'm sorry, what this looks like for victims? Did they see unexpected things? Did they get weird calls? What was your experience with the victims?
We haven't dealt much with any of the victims other than Walmart and Sam's and the specialty group. Keep in mind, this investigation's gone on for a period of time. It's been a protracted investigation, but there's still a lot of work. When you work in these fraud investigations, it's like peeling back the layers of the onion. We've peeled back enough layers of the onion to have a good, solid case and to put them in jail. And now the work goes on, and quite frankly, what we found out is the quicker we can get this stuff to you and you get it into the hands of your consumers from your different media outlets, the stuff rolls into us and makes it easier than us tracking it down one at a time. We find the community's great about calling up and say, hey, I don't have one of those phones, but I know somebody who does. Or, by the way, I have a smaller store and they did the same thing to me. And that's what we're looking for as far as help right now.
How long has this investigation been going on?
Well, I believe, I've got that written down here someplace. I believe we started at about 16. It's almost been a year now, I think. December? December of 16 to May of 17, 5 months, 6 months.
Did it just start with a phone call for a standard sort of theft?
No, not a standard theft. Walmart has an investigative team that does a remarkable job. And they saw that this was not an individual event, that there had been an attempt of, I think, about $164,000 worth of theft. That's huge, that's big. And that's when they got our organized retail crime team involved. And that's when we also got the statewide prosecutor involved, because they're facing some really serious charges. And we plan to send them to state prison where they don't need a cell phone.
What's your message to these guys?
Well, for the 2 that we've arrested, welcome to the criminal justice system. For the 2 we haven't arrested, we have a place for you in the county jail. And it won't be long till you're visiting us. And then from there, we plan to send you to state prison, because you're ripping off people to the tune of, that we know of, tens of thousands of dollars, and we suspect there are more. So we're still building cases against you. Don't feel like it's like, whoo, I committed all this crime and they only got me for this. You need to be going, what else are they going to come up with next? Because we are trailing them like good hound dogs in hunting season. Of course, they don't care if it's hunting season or not. We trail them outside of hunting season. Any other questions about that? Okay, someone had an interest in Annie Sutherland, so I'll talk about her for a minute. Annie's 54 years old. It's hard to believe life's not been good to her. On May the 14th, she went to, if you can believe this, St. Anthony's Catholic Church on Markham Road to steal stuff out of the donation box. And of course, we got video, and St. Anthony's called us. And sure enough, in addition to the purse and the 2 bags of clothes she stole, that was not enough for her, so on June the 3rd, she comes back. And she wants to steal again. This time, we got a good tag number off of her vehicle, and we went to her house, where she confessed. We find she's got a history of being arrested for methamphetamine and marijuana. You know, those low-level, nonviolent crimes that not a big deal to some people in society. It's a big deal to us if you're stealing stuff. Be a big deal to you if someone was stealing your stuff. And as a result, we locked her up in jail. The irony to this, if she'd gone up to St. Anthony's and knocked on the parish door and said, I need some clothes, I need some food, the Catholic Church is wonderful. They would have been more than happy to give her anything to help. But she wanted to steal it so she could have more than she needed. So obviously she had it so she could go out and sell it, probably to support her drug habit. But she confessed, she's in jail or has been arrested, and she is now held accountable.
Sheriff, do you believe she wanted the clothes because she didn't have clothes, or because she wanted to sell the clothes to buy other?
No, she wanted the clothes to steal them, to turn them around for her own ill-gotten gain and for her own purpose. We all know, and I'm certain she knows too, the Catholic Church would have given her clothes and food and help because that's what they do. They're wonderful. She stole from the church, who was collecting stuff to help those less fortunate. The reason she stole it, she knows the church wouldn't give her that much because she doesn't need that much. But if you steal that much, then you have clothes to wear and clothes to share and clothes to sell and dope to buy. It all works together. She didn't say she was buying dope with it, but my investigative mind says there's a good chance she was supporting a habit with it.
And as far as the folk, or as far as what they stole, what she stole, do you believe that it was, enough to constitute a felony, or how much money are we talking about? Or
Yep. She was charged with burglary and grand theft. She committed the burglary on 2 occasions, and certainly it was more than $300 worth of theft.
it was more than that?
Yes. And the message is clear. If you're out here in the community and you're hungry and you need clothes, call us. Don't break in. Don't steal. Call us. If you don't know anybody else to call, we'll hook you up with a charity and we'll get you food and clothes and shelter. We'll help you. But if you steal, we'll get you orange clothes, shelter in the jail, and we'll feed you a meal that's nutritious, not always delicious. So we'll help you before you're arrested, or if you steal, we'll help you after you're arrested. But in all sincerity, if you're hungry, you don't have housing, you don't have food, call us, we'll help you out. If you steal, we'll help the victim out, put you in jail. Oranges, shelter, and nutritious food. I don't guarantee it's delicious, and you'll get 3 cold meals a week. Saves me $25,000 a year. Okay? Anything else? Thank you all very much. Have a good day.